It's the Sunday Morning Brew with Maddie and Elle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're both so festive. You and your Christmas PJs, my beautiful tree in the back. Good morning. You thought there was no fight, so no Sunday Morning Brew, but
no,
here we are. You can't get rid of us.
We are in Nebraska for our family Christmas.
That is awesome.
My youngest brother-in-law got married last night, so
no way.
Pretty cool. And
was there a big wedding?
Yeah, it was super cute. They rented this like little cabin out at a park and beautiful like barn lights and everything. It was really, really cute.
Very cute.
That was last night. We're doing family Christmas today, and then we're back to Florida.
Oh, wow.
It's time for training on Monday for Grant. So
crazy. How cold is it?
It's so cold. It's so cold. I hate it.
Yep.
I miss the sun.
It is. Let me see. I think it is 30. It is 16 degrees in Rhode Island right now.
Too cold. It's 29 here, so it's not that bad. That is way too cold.
It's a cold. I took my dog out to poop, and it was freezing out. So cold. Insane. But yeah, we wanted to finish off the year with you guys, and Elle and I may not have watched the boxing fights last night, but we want to hear how they went. I know that Usyk won, and from what I hear, it was the same scorecards as their last fight, so that's interesting. But let me know what you guys thought of that fight. But as far as news, I mean, I feel so bad for Maria Agapova because she has been going off online, and apparently she's homeless. Now, this is 5 months after her UFC release, and she went on Instagram recently saying, "I'm staying on the street. If anyone can help, let me know."
Yeah, that's really
not
good.
Great,
this is why being smart with your money as an athlete is so important. Like, you have to be smart with it while you're making it, know. And
good morning, Chris.
She was in the UFC for a long time,
She was 8-1 at one point, and she was doing really, really well. And then
that was when she got signed. I think she was 8. She got signed.
Yeah, and she was doing really well, and then life kind of happens. But I was just talking to somebody about this, saying like, "Oh, I can't believe how much money you make as a UFC fighter," and I was like, "Slow down, slow down. You don't make a lot right off the gate." And
but you make enough.
You make enough to live, but like you said, like if you don't know how to budget yourself, because some of these fighters, like, okay, say you make $50,000, awesome.
Yeah,
but then
you buy your mom a car, you buy your buddy something. Like, you have to be smart, guys. This money can disappear like that.
Yeah,
and I would like to point out, it's quite interesting that Maria Agapova has the same UFC record as Michael Chandler.
That is pretty interesting. She's definitely no Michael Chandler, but so I guess she did sign to BKFC, and then her fight got canceled. Yeah. So she said, "I fought for money all year, it didn't work. I didn't get much money for the last fight, my bare knuckle fight. I ended up on the street without money. I've been in poverty for several years." My thing is, like, you don't have anyone? Like, does she not have, like, friends and family? Like, this, like, and to put it out there, like, on Instagram, I'm like, girl, damn.
Yeah. Well, but she fought, what'd she fight? Let's see, 3 times last year. Or, no, I'm sorry. She fought 4 times last year.
Yeah. Karate Combat was one of them.
For a grappling match. She fought Luana Santos in the UFC. And then she boxed twice. So I feel like
where's that money,
where
girl?
did it go?
Where's that money, girl?
We're not even at the end of 2024 yet.
Yeah.
It's I don't know obviously what she made, but I would assume between Karate Combat and the UFC, for somebody that has, which your contract doesn't go up unless you win, and she didn't win a whole lot in the UFC. She won her
My dog is just chewing on shin guards.
She won her debut, lost. Oh, she's chewing on her shit. She won her debut. She lost she lost one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. Like
right.
1,200 minus 1,400, pretty big favorite to Shanna Dobson, and then she beat Sabina Mazo, and then she went on a 3-fight losing streak after that, I think, and then obviously got cut. But yeah, that's still, I feel like with one UFC fight, 2 boxing fights, and I don't know what you're making grappling on Karate Combat. I'm assuming that's probably not as much, but
it's something. Is something. I mean, there's a story for everything, so I'm sure there's stuff going on, but it's sad. But Jack, love this. Love that you're having coffee with us. That's our favorite part about Sunday. Yes, 16 degrees. Oh my God, what was it in Rhode Island again? It is 16. Okay. Let's go. Jack gets it.
Oh my.
Great. So another thing people are really jazzed up about, or at least talking about, is Global Fight League. Have you taken a look at this yet? It's very interesting.
Yes. So I've asked actually a couple of the fighters on the roster, because a lot of my teammates got signed, and nobody seems to know exactly what's going on. But Kayla Rocco got signed today.
I saw that. I was like, get it, girl. That's freaking awesome.
At straw weight, unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're doing any atom weights yet. Yeah. But I'm very interested to see if they end up doing every weight class, because I haven't seen a whole lot of women signed yet.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I mean, the gist of it, for those that may not have looked into it, they do a draft at the beginning of 2025. Right. They set up the tournament, if you will. They do 6 cities, and then it goes to semifinals, finals, champion. And it all starts in April. So, yeah, like my question is, you're doing a regular season. Are you doing one weight class? Are you doing it's kind of confusing. It's a little confusing. Yeah. Like is it multiple brackets?
Like,
right.
Are there going to be fighters representing cities they're not from? Because there's no way everybody on the roster is going to be from those 6 cities, right?
Right.
I don't really understand the
or is
team
this
aspect of it.
Is this 6 fight nights? You know, like city 1, city 2, city
That's what I thought. And then one of the fighters told me it's like teams.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and he's like, and I guess we're representing cities, but I don't know if he was misunderstood or if I'm misunderstanding or if it's just not clear at this point.
Yeah. Interesting. But we're going to see how it plays out, I guess, in April, which is kind of cool. They're doing a similar point system to PFL. This one's a little more concise, though, I will say. So you either get 0 points, 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Pretty standard. And then what caught my eye was the concept of retirement benefits and insurance coverage. So, Elle, this is a good question for you. I mean, I know that insurance coverage isn't really a thing, right?
Yeah.
In the UFC. No. So, we don't have to get personal, but it's like you guys had to go find your own insurance, you know?
Yeah.
So
we have self-employment insurance, essentially.
Yeah. So it's like usually a fight company organization will cover your medical bills for fight night if you get injured during fight night or if you get injured while training. Not all organizations will do it while training. I think the UFC does, right?
They do, but it's a pretty high deductible from what I understand. We've never used it.
Yeah.
And also if you do use the insurance, the UFC's insurance, obviously there's a little bit more red tape to get cleared from injuries. So like, let's say you decide to make a claim with the UFC's insurance. Now the UFC knows that you're injured as well. Like you probably it's gonna be a little bit more complicated to utilize that insurance and pay. While if let's say you're in camp and you want to get something checked out, if you go privately to that and then it ends up not being a huge deal and you can still fight, you don't have to worry about convincing the UFC that you're not injured. You know?
Right. So Global Fight League is saying health and injury insurance fund to protect fighters from unexpected medical costs and support their well-being, which makes it sound like they're giving them insurance as if like my radio station gives me insurance. So
but you're an employee. So that's what's I'm trying to understand.
Well, it sounds
how do you do that with contractors? Because that's the reason the UFC doesn't have insurance like that, is because you're an independent contractor, not an employee.
Well, I wonder if they're considering them I wonder if they're considering them employees then.
So, and then in that case, how are they doing taxation? Because we pay our own taxes. Like Chris brought it up, taxes, training, bills. Like, yes, there's a lot of bills when you are a fighter, when we were talking about Mashka earlier.
Well, I guess technically if they're a contracted fighter, you could probably file that as part-time employee.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, because they're not getting paid hourly, but they might be, but some of them are on salary. So it makes sense that those guys could be employees.
Yeah.
I just don't know if like
the rest,
somebody like K-Rock, like let's say, I guess if she doesn't make it through the draft, like let's say they don't get enough straw weights, they decide not to do a straw weight tournament this year. They would just like release her for the year, maybe.
Yeah.
I would assume. Because I asked her too, I was like, if you don't get drafted, can you fight anywhere else? She's like, yeah. Like, I guess so. I'm assuming you're just released, or maybe they're just more flexible with you for that year, but you're not like locked up with them.
That's so interesting. Okay, so then we got that, and then we got the retirement benefits. So a structured retirement fund to secure fighters' financial futures after their careers in the ring. Somebody call Maria Agapova and tell her that this might be what she should do.
Honestly, it might. They seem to be signing just about everybody that's ever been released or retired from the UFC.
But if this is real, I mean, this like fills a huge void in the MMA community because so many fighters struggle when they're done fighting. A lot of these fighters are not secure.
I don't disagree with that. I think it's I'm not sure how the retirement situation is going to work, because like when you have, let's say, like a pension from the police or your retirement from the military, that's done because you have served a certain amount of years, and it's many, many years.
Right.
And so with MMA, like no sport has that from what I understand. Like NFL players don't have a pension, do they? I don't know. Honestly, don't know how those contracts work, but I would assume probably not.
Retirement plans.
Maybe some have it like worked into their contract, but I would
NFL players. Oh, they do have a pension and a 401k.
401k makes more sense. So maybe a 401k is how they're planning to kind of do this. But I feel like 401ks aren't really, they aren't as lucrative as they used to be.
Right.
Like you're not really getting much out of your 401ks
I mean, a lot of companies aren't really willing to match as much anymore and like all that stuff. So
it costs so much now. So I'm wondering how they're planning to do that. Cause like let's say they sign somebody for a year. Like, okay, like let's use Junior Dos Santos as an example.
Right.
He's already close to retirement age.
Yeah.
So how will his differ from, like, let's say this organization the last 10 years? Like, let's say it doesn't. Somebody fights in this organization for 10 years. How will JDS's retirement fund compare to somebody who's fought for them for that long? Like, I have so many questions. I'm very interested.
I know. Well, like perfect example of
the infrastructure looks like.
Yeah. Perfect example of your friend Kay. Like she would be able, if it's legit, she would be able to accumulate a lot if she was like to develop in the Global Fight League and kind of
32.
Like, so. Okay.
But I mean, so she's got a few more years.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, she's got a few more years. And then it's like, yeah, it's so interesting. And I'm glad you brought up JDS because when they say global exposure. Oh, wait, no, that's not what I wanted to say. Hold on. Oh, comprehensive support, access to training resources, medical assistance, promotional support to enhance their careers. Okay. So my only beef with enhancing their careers is a lot of these people on the roster already have a really good following or have had a successful career already. So to say that you're going to enhance their career, I don't know about all that.
We're enhancing Thiago Santos, Andrei Arlovsky, Alexei Olenek. Like you're gonna promote them better than the UFC did. Anthony Pettis, Junior Dos Santos, Hector Lombard, Luke Rockhold.
I think they're developed.
Vanderlei Silva.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure they're developed.
Also, what's the drug testing policy?
Oh, that's
because I know a lot of these retired fighters are definitely juicing now. And some of them honestly should be for just general health, because weight cutting wreaks havoc on your natural testosterone levels. So we've got 40-year-old fighters. Are we going to make them all get off the sauce?
No way.
And sacrifice their health?
But yeah, where it says a league designed to prioritize well-being, safety, and career development. That's what I was looking at earlier.
So for newer fighters, that makes sense.
For newer fighters, but I mean,
you need names to build. You need names to build, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think what you need to do is, the UFC has developed their own fighters. That is why they do such a good job developing superstars. They developed Conor McGregor. They developed Sean O'Malley. Like, they didn't wait for, like, Michael Chandler promoted himself. Bellator did not promote Michael Chandler. He branded and promoted himself very well, I might add, which is why he became a superstar, not because Bellator did it. And I think so many organizations have made this mistake where they're like, oh, we're pulling talent. We're pulling old talent from the UFC, and that's how we're going to make our name.
Right.
And this is no different. Like, maybe I assume the fighters are going to love fighting for them. The fighters love fighting for the PFL, but we don't know what their financial situation looks like either. So I'm just so curious how this is going to work if they're going to start developing their own roster of young fighters. You know, we have Nate Garib got signed. Like, he would be a great example.
Oh, really?
They could,
Nice.
somebody that they could develop. You know. But I don't know if they're going to do enough of those guys, or if
like, will they take the time
in the like superstar, like the legend basket? Because like Frank Mir's on this. Like, they have legends here.
Nuts. Kevin Lee, Jeremy Stevens. What, dude? This is crazy. Let me see. Featherweight. What weight class is Nate Garib?
45. 145. Oh, Musasi's signed. Marlon's on there. Like, there's just so much old talent. And not old physically. Some of these guys are old physically, but like, just like, they're already like close to, most of these guys were already retired. Or, you know, they retired and then they went to bare knuckle, or they retired and then they went to boxing, or they, you know, but most of these guys have retired at some point. Felipe Lons, Sidney Outlaw, Will Brooks. I forgot Will Brooks got signed. Good for him. Will Brooks got the short end of the stick. He's a really talented guy that has not been in a major promotion for a long time. So I hope these guys make a fat bag. I really do.
I mean, I wonder how our friends over at Gamebred feel about a couple of these fighters.
Oh, it's like half their roster.
You got their heavyweight champion signed to GFL.
And he's tied up for the whole year, you know? And like, they understand, because these guys are making supposedly life-changing money. So I hope it pays off. Like, I really hope it pays off for them, because they'll be set, you know? If it does, like, they'll be set. I think organizations like this, I think they change fighters' lives, and I commend them for that, but I just don't think they can last.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason the UFC pay structure is the way that it is, you know? And I think they could make it more interesting, you know, if UFC could offer maybe more bonuses, but smaller bonuses. Like, every finish gets a $20,000 bonus or something. You probably see more finishes. But this is I just don't understand how this will last.
Yeah. Dawson, great question. Do we feel that the industry as a whole is growing towards prize fighting more than the skill testing matchups?
Outside the UFC, yeah.
I was going to say, like, this is a really good question, because you kind of see both of them thriving right now, because it's like the move to Netflix. More people are interested in boxing right now. It's kind of going on the up and up right now, but it's because of those prize fighting fucking Paul brothers.
Jake Paul fighting.
And it's like, the prize fighting is definitely, and like the resurgence of the WWE, I feel like it's becoming huge again. And then like, yeah, like prize fighting is definitely at an all-time high right now. And then when we see it on Netflix, I think it's going to absolutely explode with Fairweather fans. But I think there is still a large portion of fight fans that are in it for the high level. And like,
well, those are UFC fans, you know,
right,
like, because the UFC still keeps their same structure and it still works.
Right. And yeah, like, granted, the UFC wants characters for sure, but they certainly prioritize high level athletes.
Well, they tried it, you know, they tested it.
Yeah.
It didn't work. So they didn't keep trying to do it. You know, they're like, all right, CM Punk.
Right.
We're going to try this out. clearly he cannot cut it.
Yeah.
Like,
That was
clearly
the
he's just
craziest
not
moment.
made for
That
this,
was
you
the
know?
weirdest
And
moment.
they have not done it since.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they're like, we need to develop good
Right.
fighters
Right.
that have personality, and we need
Yeah.
to brand them, and we need to promote them properly. And they are the best in the world at it. They are.
Yeah. So this whole idea. Oh, did we even talk about McGregor potentially fighting?
We did
Well,
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. But do we think now? I forget if we talked about this. Do you think that's the big news from Dana White? Like
No.
he's like jumping in on it somehow?
Can't be. It can't be. Like, because
Could you imagine?
we don't see it coming. Like,
Mm.
I don't think that benefit. I mean, it does benefit the UFC probably from just like a cash grab.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
But
could you imagine? Okay.
I doubt it. I doubt that's
ready for this. Could you imagine a boxing match in the octagon?
There's only one thing worse. There would only be one thing worse than going to an MMA fight and having a boxing match in the middle of it, and that's going to an MMA card and there's grappling matches in the middle of it. That's the only thing worse.
For sure.
I don't know. They didn't get super. They were a little involved with like the McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight, but they didn't get like super duper involved with that and like the promotion and whatnot. I don't think. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while, obviously, but I just don't. I don't see it. I think it's going to be something. I'm hoping it's not that. I hope it's not. And I know Dave had his, theories with Diaz and all that.
Yeah.
I hope it's not something like that. Like, I really hope it's, and same with Amanda Nunes. Like, I see that coming. Like, I do see that coming. I want it to be something really shocking. Like,
I want it to be
Lesnar
like
coming back for UFC 200. Like, I want it to be that level of
like, holy
punch you in the face,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be so cool to do another discipline in the cage.
I hope that you're right. I hope that's what it is. And honestly, I think that I think that the way forward is there just going to be a giant UFC conglomerate that owns everything? Like, because there's
a group just swooping up everything.
They seem to be the only ones that can operate a successful business for the long term,
Yep.
It's like, is that going to be it? Are they just going to buy everything? But they just dealt with a lawsuit with the monopoly issue. I don't really know how that would work. Like, but I just don't see anybody else operating their businesses. And maybe GFL will change the game, but as of right now, nobody is operating their businesses in a sustainable long-term manner when it comes to the fight game, at least not at the level the UFC is. Like, obviously we have these phenomenal regional shows that have great relationships with the UFC, like LFA, but we haven't seen anything at that scale long term last.
Yeah, I mean, Dana White figured it out. It's so crazy.
But. Well, they have the WWE now under their banner. Like, imagine if they like took the One roster. Because like one is coming up on year number 4 of being in massive debt. Like, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in debt.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening there? How have they still not? I honestly, I haven't looked at. I don't know if they've released any of their numbers, because obviously, like, these companies, like, their tax records and stuff are public record, but they hadn't had a profitable year since like when I was looking at it, like, since their beginning. So what's their plan moving forward?
Right.
If the UFC absorbs them, maybe they get all these small glove Muay Thai fighters, which love to watch. It'd be so fun. That would merge well. Like, I don't want him to throw Mike Mezzamucci. I love Mike Mezzamucci. I think he's a phenomenal grappler. I don't want to see him throw him and another grappler in the octagon in the middle of the UFC card. I'd be very disappointed to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to watch Rod Tang and some other freaking savage throw down in the middle of the octagon, just giving each other CTE for 15 minutes.
It'd be crazy.
So it's
so crazy. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Well, you have a Christmas to get to today.
We're doing our family Christmas. What about you? When is yours?
On Christmas.
On Christmas. If we could, we would.
I'm lucky that my whole family is around here. So, so it's usually my mom's side, Christmas night, my dad's side Christmas day, marathon of a day. I drag this guy around all day.
Hi, Ross.
But yeah, it's gonna be good. We're doing like a what is it? Yankee swap this year instead of like normal gifts. So my Yankee swap gift is solid.
We always do Secret Santa because Grant has so many siblings.
Yep.
Almost all the siblings are married now, so that's spouses too. So it's like, don't get everybody a present.
Right.
Just pick one person.
Exactly. So we'll let you go. And I'm gonna attempt to go to the gym today. So we'll do that. But thank you all for waking up with us. Oh, Dawson, happy birthday, buddy. I love that. Have a great birthday, my friend. But in the meantime, I think we'll come back next week. Why not, right?
There's got to be some crazy headline that pops up, or we'll just keep talking about this.
Some craziness will happen. What's the date of that? Let's
Maybe
see.
Mashka will get signed to GFL between now and then.
There we go. It'll be the last Sunday of December, so we will meet you here the last Sunday of December. Okay. Have a great day, everyone. We love you so much.